Live. Cool. Sweet. Happy days. Mike Morelli here with Scott Rowley, Peak Prosper. We're in the Mindset Secrets group for high performing adventurous men. We're stoked to be here today, and we're going to talk about an awesome topic. And it's going to be, how do you get out of a dead end job, or really a job that you don't like? You're unfulfilled. You know, it's not tapping into your purpose, but you're still working in it. How do you get out of it? And we're going to be talking about that today. Scott, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Super stoked to be live this morning. Happy Tuesday. Happy fall. Let's talk about getting out of that feeling like you're in something that you're just over broke emotionally and financially.
J-O-B, just over broke. So I got this, you guys can see here, the Wyoming license plate. This is from my car when I lived in Wyoming and I was working at that dead end job. I was working as a server in a restaurant. It was called the $1 Million Cowboy Steakhouse.
I bet you didn't feel like a millionaire, huh?
I didn't feel like a millionaire. I did. Like, it's funny thing is, Scott, like when I first got in that job, I was like, oh, it's just gonna like this like cush skier job. I'm working short hours. I was making like $250 to $300 a night, sometimes more, sometimes like $350, $400. So for me, that was a lot of money at 26, 25 years old. And I'm,
paid for your ski pass in like 3 days of work, huh?
Totally. But the funny thing about that is that you hit your ceiling very quickly. So, for me, I was like, I want to help. I always love helping people and inspiring people and showing people a great time. And as a server, you can do that. And this is not putting down that job whatsoever. But after, doing that job for a little while, I felt like I had hit the ceiling. And even though I was working harder and harder and maybe picking up more shifts or trying to give even better service, there was a cap. There was a cap on how much I could grow as a human being at that job. There was a cap on how much I could make financially. And there was a cap on really my own creative intuition. I had to kind of do what my boss was telling me to do. And to be honest with you, my boss wasn't the nicest guy in the world. It was an incredibly negative environment. People were always talking about and focusing on what's wrong, what's missing. The food's not coming out fast enough. This table's unhappy. And so over time, that wears you down, right? And so when you look at a job, it's not that the serving job was the problem per se. It's that the serving job didn't align with my ideal identity. It didn't align with my real vision from life. And so what happens when we spend time in situations that don't really align with where we're at, we wind up feeling frustrated, disconnected, our self-worth goes down, our self-esteem goes down, and that's when we kind of start to spiral. Scott, you kind of went through a similar situation with your job too, right?
Yeah, I did. And I'm curious, before I even go into that, I mean, how long did it take you there in Jackson Hole to go from just feeling kind of stoked on your job to feeling like you were stuck on this hamster wheel going nowhere?
Yeah, one year. It was about a year. And at first I was stoked and that was great. And it got me some benefit. I learned things. And I even look back to that experience. There's no regret. It made me into who I am today and to be able to help people with you at Peak Prosper. Right. But it got to a point where I remember looking at myself in the mirror saying, why are you doing this? Like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I showing up here? And I really watched myself turn into a very negative person, and really started to deal with a lot of anxiety. A lot of limiting beliefs were coming up, a lot of like self-worth stuff. But the reason why I stayed in the job is because, quote, the money was good and it was predictable. I knew the hours. I knew the days that I was going to work. I knew the days off during the year where I had my break. I knew I was going to be getting this amount of money every week. And so we wound up becoming kind of attached to the safety and the comfort of it. Right. And unfortunately, unfortunately, safety and comfort is not the area in which you grow. We only are growing as individuals when we are actually uncomfortable, when we're outside of that comfort zone. Because when we're outside of the comfort zone, we're taking new actions, we're having new beliefs, we're having new experiences that are going to open us up to greater possibility. And that was a really challenging period of my life for sure. I got to a point where I really just looked at myself in the mirror one day and I just said, "What happened to you, man? What happened?" I remember I was smoking weed every night, drinking a lot, and I really wasn't happy with myself.
You share so much of your story that brings me back to when I got my first corporate job out of university, and it was like everything I imagined, everything I dreamed of, everything I wanted. It was in a mountain town. It was in a successful marketing agency working with adventurous outdoors people, and it had all the shiny offers that a new corporate age job has: free beer, free drinks,
Yep.
summer Fridays, the whole jam. And I was like on cloud 9 when I first got the job. And it took me all of about 2 weeks to feel like I was spinning my wheels here.
Yep.
And then I started my second business at the time. I started doing websites and trying to get marketing clients. And that gave me like a little bit of a bump. And I just kind of stayed in this up and down area for about 16 months. And then the company would give me more responsibility. It'd get fun again. This is what corporate America kind of does to us. They dangle us this little carrot like we're a rabbit, just to keep us on. And I remember one day I was so close to quitting, and my girlfriend at the time convinced me to stay because of the security that the job brought. And about 2 months later, at that time, I'm down here. About 2 months later, they give me this promotion. And they increased my salary like 18 grand per year. And I'm on a hiatus again. And I go through this cycle, Mike, for like 3.5 years.
Yep.
Ups and downs and promotions, and just knowing that it's not what I wanted to be doing. But I kept doing it because it brought that sense of safety.
Yeah, Quasi says the biggest dopamine hit that people get these days is their weekly paycheck.
Or their Facebook or Instagram likes and swipes,
Yeah. And so you touched on something really interesting here. When you were at that job that you knew internally that you didn't like, but you didn't listen to it. Instead, you listened to what your friends were saying. Your girlfriend saying, "Oh, you got to stay in the job. It's a good job. You get good benefits. You get good money." Like, what are you thinking? I talked with this guy the other day. He's in our program, and he already had manifested a job that he had wanted, right? When he joined our program a couple of months ago. And now he talked to me yesterday and he goes, "Dude, I want to get moved to the next level. I want to get a different job. Like I want to move like really higher, like really tapping into my soul purpose and following this intuition that's drawing me towards environmental protection, that type of stuff." And cool. He said, "Yeah, dude, but all my friends and family are kind of like, dude, like, why'd you quit your job? Like, why are you like doing this?" Right? And a lot of the times we allow our friends and family to influence us when those people aren't even trying to live the same life that we're living. Like our parents say to us, go get a safe and secure job. That is an obsolete idea. That doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, if the last year and a half has taught anyone anything, is that there's no such thing as a safe and secure job. Like it doesn't exist. It's an illusion. The only thing that actually exists is personal accountability and responsibility. And that's where you're going to find the security, and knowing that no matter what you go through in life, that you can handle it and that you're going to get what you want. And that's just confidence, right? And that comes from taking specific actions and working on your inside game, not working out in the gym. That's a key thing. So the reason why I cycle into this, Scott, is because before I had moved to Jackson, I said to my buddy Sam when we moved there, "I want a serving job, and I'm going to get a high-paying serving job because that's what all
you got it."
And I got it. I got it at one of the nicest restaurants in town, and I had never served before in my life.
Wow.
Okay. When I was leaving that job, this is so important. I hope everyone here is listening to this. When I was leaving that job, I said, "I'm going to quit. I'm going to start my own business. I am going to be successful. And it's going to be something that aligns with what I truly want in life." All right. One of the servers, she came up to me and she goes, "You'll be back." I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "You'll be back. They all come back." And I'll never forget that. And I looked at her and I said, "Yo, listen, I may fail, but I'm never coming back.
You're probably lucky she said that.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember exactly where it happened. I remember exactly the conversation. And I just used that as fuel to say, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna look, if you can imagine it, if you can really imagine whatever you want, it's a possibility. It's just going to require some work to get there. And when you feel that fear and that discomfort, that's when you know that you're actually on the right track.
Hmm. Mike, you're talking about changing your focus, right? Like
Yeah.
what we focus on expands, and in my experience, in anything in business or in a corporate career or in a relationship, whatever it might be, I've found the more I focus on the downward trend, this spiral, things feeling like they're just going out of control, or I focus on what I do not want, the more of what I don't want has a tendency to manifest.
Yep.
Can you talk a little bit about what guys might do to break this cycle of downward focus so that they can go on the incline again?
Yeah, so let's get into the method here, because this is what this whole live is about, is how to get out of this job that you don't want and start finding something that is aligned with what you want. All right, so we're going to go into the method now. And the reason why we kind of had a longer conversation before we got to this point is because the principles and philosophy and the mindset is really a lot of the times the answer. But let's kind of go into some method for some of you guys who kind of want some action steps. One, change your focus. That Scott was just talking about this. What we focus on expands. And a lot of the times we're so busy focusing on the job we hate, why we hate it, the people that we hate, the work that we hate, right? And all that does is just continue to manifest more and more of what you don't want. So where attention goes, energy flows. And you want to start to focus on, hey, like what do I really want out of life? Like, what am I really passionate about? What really inspires me with a sense of creativity? What could I do every day and just love doing? If you think about those things, ideas will start to come to you. And this is the key thing here, is that you don't focus on the result. See, a lot of guys will focus on the end result, like getting the job, or like an entrepreneur focuses on getting more money. Let's say like you're an entrepreneur and you want to scale your business from like 5K to 10K a month. And all you do is focus on 10K, 10K, 10K. Well, you can focus on that, but you need to think more about the action steps required. What value do I need to create in order to reach 10K? Like, what new action steps do I have to do? So for a guy right now that's listening to this and saying, okay, I want to improve my work situation in whatever capacity, don't focus on the end result, which may just be like a new job. Focus instead on what are the new actions that I have to take, right? That's going to be key. What do I need to do to improve myself in order to, get the end result? Focus on actions, not the result.
I'd love to add a couple of things here, and I mean, you're talking about changing your focus, right? Which is really an emphasis on working on one's mindset and working on what we're thinking about. Because if we don't change that, we're going to just stay stuck in this proverbial hamster wheel.
Yep.
So mindset should just be its own bullet point here. And I've created all these points that go to this intersection, this sweet spot where our new career, job, business opportunity comes to fruition. It collides with all of these elements. I don't believe it's just one thing that manifests that which we really want to do. I put financial runway on here as a fifth bullet point because in my experience, there's a very powerful emotional correlation between having the financial stability that's necessary to survive in our world and being fucking broke.
Yep.
And being broke, what comes with that oftentimes, unless you have complete emotional detachment from money in our world, which it puts you in a pretty challenging spot, we'll just say. Depression, anxiety, fear, doubts, insecurities, the inability to support oneself in society. That's just the fact of today's world. Financial runway, 3 to 6 months is a really good time frame to have before you just go jump. And at least 30 to 60 days.
Yeah. So what that
Gives you
looks
some.
like, what Scott's talking about here is 3 to 6 months runway is really looking at taking a hard look at all your expenses, your liabilities, everything. Like what you like really starting to track what are your monthly bills and expenses, how much money is going out every single month, and getting that number down to a T. Like you should know that number, like your cost of living. And then once you have that number identified, multiply that times three, anywhere from 3 to 6 months. All right. And personally, I've got around like, 4 to 5, but, and you don't want to like blow through that. The goal isn't to just like be broke at the end of it, but runway in case that it takes you longer than expected to find the job that you want or whatever the case may be.
We talk about changing focus, but how does somebody get clarity around their vision for what their next job, what their business opportunity, what it might look like? I mean, how do I even go find that vision if I have no idea what I want? I'm stuck in a restaurant job. I know I want to go start a biz, but I have no idea what I want to do.
Yeah. So again, the focus, the answer to that question is not answering, I have no idea what I want to do, right? That's where you got to put that question out of your mind. And instead, if you were just sitting here, right, and you were saying, hey, in 6 months time, 6 months from now, how would I want my life to look? Just from an everything perspective, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationship, financial, like what would this look like to you? And write it out. Write out some things that you really, really want in your life to create. All right. And it could just be
you remind me, Mike. I gotta go reread my 6 month letter that I wrote to myself a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. I wrote a letter to myself. I think that's third person, right? Yeah. Hey, Scott, congratulations on all the hard work you've done over the last 6 months to find exactly what I wanted.
Yeah. Yeah. And thinking less about the job, but more about how you want your life to look and how you want your life to feel in different areas of your life that are important to you. Like, so for example, maybe friends, family, health, relationships, mental health, those types of things, and start defining those. And as you start to define these things about what you want, opportunities will start to arise for you, and stop becoming obsessed with seeing the result immediately and waking up and having just text messages saying with job offers. You have to really think about defining your ideal life and just really like think big, like think outside of your comfort zone. That's going to be like really the key thing, and then for your work situation, you could define, ideally like, hey, I mean, what's your ideal work environment, right? What does that look and feel like? What type of people are you surrounded with? What type of work would be harnessing your creative skills and passions and interests? So instead of saying, oh, I'm an IT, get an IT job. Maybe you can just let go of the end result a little bit and again, focus on what you're most passionate about. Because a lot of times when people are looking for a job, they're looking like, well, how can I, there's like some overlord, the boss, and he's like, I got to like prove myself to him. No, prove yourself to yourself first. Worry about your own story before you start focusing on like trying to like impress some boss.
Passion's an interesting one, right? I mean, we hear people follow your passion, follow your dream all the time in the personal development industry. And in some ways that's a big hoax, in my opinion, depending on how we define passion. For example, I'm incredibly passionate about skiing, but I'm probably never going to be a professional full-time skier. That's just not in alignment with my sole purpose and how I really desire to give back to the world. However, I might go become a ski coach again at some point. We'll see. I think that passion is just that feeling like what we're doing really matters. Yeah. And that we're in alignment with how we truly believe we should be investing the little bit of time that we get each day, week, month, and year.
Well, I think you
So,
touched on something interesting here where like, you're following your passions, and a lot of the times people think it's a hoax because, oh, I have a passion and it didn't turn into a job for me, so it must be a hoax. No.
mm,
When you follow your passion, when you follow your heart in life, you are going to go through this like cycle where it's like ups and downs. Like Scott, you talk about like peaks and valleys where, yeah, you followed your skiing passion, Scott, and you didn't wind up becoming a ski instructor, but now you're a coach that helps high performing adventurous men. You wouldn't be doing that if you didn't ski.
mm.
And that's a lot of the times where people get tripped up on following your passions because they think it's linear. They think it's black and white, A to B, logical, where it's like, I ski, so I should be a ski instructor. No. It's following the things that you're most passionate about in life, and those will present opportunities for you to help, to serve, to create, to build, following those specific domains. So you see a lot of guys that we work, all the guys that we work with, they have a passion for adventure, traveling, skiing, climbing, camping, biking, being outdoors, living life to the fullest, right? And because both of Scott and I have followed our passions, we get to now kind of tap back into that space just in a way that we didn't really have thought about. I didn't ever think I was going to be a life coach helping adventurous men. I never would have thought that. But by following my heart and following my passions and not listening to what everyone else was telling me to do, but instead focusing on working on myself, yeah, like these opportunities will naturally arise for you. The key is to not fight it when they do. The key is to not fight it. It's just keep following this thing rather than listening to this thing out here, which is going to absolutely just destroy you.
Hey, Mike, so we've talked about a lot of stuff today. We talked about, what it feels like to be stuck in a dead end job, how to break that cycle, how to build some clarity around what the next chapter of your life and your career might look like. Now, what I'd love to touch on finally is how do we take that step into the unknown world? I mean, we've maybe mentally built some clarity around what the changes are going to look like in our life, but the adventure into the unknown can be a pretty scary, daunting step to take.
Yes. Yeah. So you're essentially saying what's the first step?
Yeah, I mean, how do I build the courage, the confidence, the willpower to take those steps that are necessary to maybe quit the job, to start the business, to begin applying and having conversations in a completely different industry that I know little about?
Yeah. So the first, I would just say like really define the vision and don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about it. Don't think that like you write your vision out and that it's not ever going to change and that like, oh, this is me for the rest of my life. Like guys put so much pressure on ourselves. Just write out a vision following your heart right now. Just do it. And now go look at that vision and ask yourself one question. If I was the guy right now looking at this vision and everything that I have read had been accomplished 6 months from now, what would that guy go do right now if he was me? What would he go do? So again, define the vision. Don't worry about it being perfect. Don't worry about it being the vision for the rest of your life. Just go write it in a mindset of like, okay, 6 months from now, what do I really want my life to look like? Write it out. Okay. Now go look at that vision and say, if I was that person who had accomplished all of this, what would he go do right now? And write out a couple of the action steps that pop in your head. They should be kind of scary because they're going to be new things that you've never done. And then just go do them. Just start going through the list and just ticking them off. And look, the confidence doesn't come from a meditation. Like you're not going to go meditate for hours a day and all of a sudden like, I have all this confidence. Confidence comes from putting yourself outside of your comfort zone and taking new actions and then seeing the real world results from you pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. That's where it comes from, right? Like right. Confidence literally comes from taking new actions where you were uncomfortable and then you overcame it and you're like, whoa, I can do that.
Same action, same result, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, if there's how many guys have gone through our program and done a one-on-one coaching with us, Scott, that were in a dead end job, they were completely unfulfilled in their career and have literally tapped into their purpose. They're finding meaningful work and they're scaling their businesses and they're impacting others. I mean, how many guys have done that? I can think of so many people: Logan, Andrew, Mason, Justin, The list goes on. So if you just follow the steps that we're telling you to do, you will get results.
Brilliant. Hey, Mike, thanks for sharing everything about getting unstuck in a dead end job with us today. Do you have any final bullet points that you'd like to add?
Yeah, we went in deep today. Today's a longer one, but you could probably watch this a few times and get some serious value out of it. If you guys need resources, some of the things that we're talking about, creating a vision, discovering your passion, some of those things. If you guys want more resources, just comment down below. Scott and I will be super stoked to just send you any free resources and just connect with you. We absolutely, we're obviously passionate about what we do, so we can absolutely help you guys out. And yeah, so just comment down below. And also you can even leave us a comment too. What did you like in this video? What was beneficial for you? Yeah, we'd just love to interact with you guys. And one more quick thing as a final note, we are going to be running this free 5-day challenge, Become the Man That You're Meant to Be. We're going to be running this 11th through the 15th. Okay.
So stoked for that.
Yeah, we're just going to let you guys know now. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but put that on your calendar, September 11th through the 15th. Become the Man You're Meant to Be 5-day challenge. We're going to have hundreds of guys in this. We've been running ads to bring people into this free event, 100% free. We're going to be going over 5 days, just going in depth with you to show you how you can get clarity on understanding yourself, what you truly want in life, and how to achieve it. So this is perfect for high performing adventurous men who want to take their life to the next level and really step into their full potential. So we'll talk more about that, but mark it on your calendar, and we're going to be stoked to share more of that with you.
Epic. Have a great day. Peace, everybody.
Peace.